There is a really strong sense right now that the far left has just pushed people too far. We saw it in the parent backlash over what's taught in public schools, a defining issue in many political races over the past year, not least Glenn Youngkin's victory in Virginia. We saw it in the recall of the extremist San Francisco school board members, more focused on renaming schools than reopening them. We saw it this week with incredible new numbers showing a major decline in public school enrollment, an exodus of 1.2 million nationwide. And we're even seeing it among Democrats, as senior party figures, including Colorado Governor Jared Polis and Senators Cory Booker and Dianne Feinstein, join Republicans in pushing back against the Biden regime's new rules targeting charter schools. Here to discuss is candidate for California State Controller, Lanhee Chen. Lanhee, great to see you. I think this education issue has been a real kind of motivator for this kind of switch to Republicans that we're seeing right across the country. Are you seeing that in California too?
Oh, yes, particularly, Steve, I would say amongst Hispanic parents. You know, across the state of California, what we saw during COVID-19 was shut down of public schools. We saw severe mandates. We saw a lot of parents saying, hey, listen, we do not want our children to be in this environment anymore. 250,000 California students have left public schools since 2019. So what we know is that there's this exodus in part because there's no accountability in too many school systems. One of the reasons I'm running for controller out here in California is to bring accountability to K-12 systems. The controller can audit every single K-12 school district in this state, and that's the kind of accountability for public schools that frankly has been lacking in our state and I think in too many parts of our country.
Exactly. So I was just really struck at Elon Musk saying, well, he's now, you know, the Democrats have become the party of hate and division. Used to be kindness, now it's hate and division. So he's going to be voting Republican. And then Kevin Kiley, who we've been a frequent guest on this show out in California, you know him well, I'm sure, said, well, I don't think he's going to be the only one who's voting Republican for the first time this year. I think that's a really widespread phenomenon.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's a variety of different issues, Steve. I think you talk about the challenges we're having with things costing more, inflation, gas prices, prices for basic commodities like milk and things that people need to buy every single week. The increased prices for those, the state of the economy, what's happening with our public schools, the fact that now, as you noted, a lot of Democrats, including in the Biden administration, want to restrict access to charter schools, which have helped so many families across this country, low-income families, families from communities of color. These are the sorts of things that cause people to question, particularly people from backgrounds that maybe traditionally have voted Democratic, to say, is this really in our best interest? And I think that's why you're seeing so many people reevaluating their vote in 2022.
It's really, really interesting. Lanhee, I can't let you go without asking you to just remind, because everyone needs to understand, a Republican has not won a statewide race in California since 2006, Arnold Schwarzenegger's re-election. Lanhee Chen, the person you're looking at right now, has probably got the best chance of anyone of doing that. It is a hugely important race. It'll be an earthquake if you pull this off. So I just want to ask you to remind everyone watching where they can support you.
Well, go to my website, which is Chen for California, CHENFOR, California.com. Find out about our battle to bring accountability and transparency back to California. The controller can finally give taxpayers here a sense of how the state is spending everybody's money. So I'd encourage folks to visit the website, get on there, support us, donate a few dollars if you can, but more importantly, volunteer. Ballots are in people's mailboxes here in California. Yes, exactly. Make sure you vote.
Because we have this ludicrous kind of election season now instead of election day. But whatever, you've got to, you know, whatever the system is, we've got to get in there and vote. Lanhee Chen, great to see you. Thank you so much. And don't forget, we've now got daily coverage of Lanhee's race and all the crazy California madness on my podcast, The Daily California, on Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. If you're watching this in California,